I'm looking at a handwritten note I taped to my bathroom mirror back in 2014, and honestly, the handwriting is shaky because I was terrified. It says $6,000. That was the max contribution limit for a Roth IRA that year, and I made $42,000 working a retail job that left me feeling drained and hopeless. I remember staring at that note every morning, wondering how on earth I was supposed to carve out that kind of money when my credit card interest was eating me alive. Most people told me to just forget about retirement until the debt was gone. I ignored them. I did something that looked completely irrational from the outside, but it changed my entire life trajectory over the next decade. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on exactly what happened to that money, how the math actually worked, and why maxing out a tax-advantaged account while you're still drowning in debt might be the smartest, most contrarian move you ever make. If you've ever felt like you're just running on a hamster wheel, paying interest to banks while your future self gets nothing, this is the reality check you've been waiting for. We're going to walk through the raw numbers of a 10-year experiment, the specific mistakes I made that cost me thousands, and the one strategy that finally turned my financial tide. Let's be real for a second. If you're currently staring at a credit card statement with a 24% APR, that's the annual interest rate, the actual cost of borrowing that money, the idea of putting $6,000 into a retirement account feels like a sick joke. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, my hands literally shaking while I clicked transfer on my brokerage app. I felt like I was betraying my present self to save a version of me who didn't even exist yet. But here is the secret that nobody tells you in the mainstream finance blogs: the debt-first mentality is a trap designed to keep you poor. When I started, I was paying down high-interest debt with one hand and stuffing my Roth IRA with the other. A Roth IRA is an individual retirement account where you pay taxes on the money now, but it grows tax-free forever. That means when you finally pull it out in retirement, the government doesn't touch a penny of your gains. By the end of year 3, I realized that by splitting my focus, I wasn't just paying off debt, I was building an engine. The first 2 years were brutal. I was working extra shifts and living on rice and beans, literally. My friends were going out, traveling, and buying new cars, and I was counting pennies to hit that annual limit. But by year 4, the compounding, that's the mathematical magic where your interest starts earning its own interest, began to snowball. I had roughly $26,000 in the account. That's when I realized the debt avalanche method everyone recommends was actually stalling my long-term growth. An avalanche is when you pay off your highest interest rate debt first to save the most money. I did that, but I also kept the IRA funded. If you're wondering how to handle this, the answer is simple: you have to prioritize. I kept a $1,000 emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. That's a bank account that pays you a higher percentage for keeping your money there, and everything else went to the debt or the IRA. If you're currently struggling with debt collectors, I hear you. It's loud, it's stressful, and it feels like the world is collapsing. But you aren't alone. Millions of people in exactly your situation figured this out, and you can too. Tell me your biggest debt right now in the comments. I read every single one, and it helps me understand what you're actually dealing with on the ground. By year 6, the market started doing the heavy lifting for me. I was investing in low-cost index funds. An index fund is basically a basket of hundreds of companies, so you're buying a tiny slice of the entire economy rather than betting on one stock. This is the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it strategy. I didn't try to pick the next big tech giant. I just bought the market. My balance hit $68,000. That was the moment it clicked: my money was finally working harder than I was. If that realization just hit you, hit the like button. It tells me to keep making these deeper dives into the mechanics of wealth. I stopped checking my account balance every day. I started focusing on my tax efficiency. I learned about the HSA, which is a health savings account that acts like a triple tax-advantaged bucket for medical expenses. I realized I was leaving money on the table by not using every single tax shelter available. You don't have to be a genius or a finance major to get this. You just have to be consistent. Most people quit after the first year because they don't see the excitement of compounding. It's boring. It's slow. But slow is how you get rich. Now, let's talk about the 10-year mark. After a decade of consistent, sometimes painful, maxing out of that Roth IRA, the balance sits at just over $142,000. I look at that number and I don't see easy money. I see thousands of skipped dinners, dozens of extra shifts, and a whole lot of nights spent stressing over bills. But I also see freedom. I'm no longer the person who panics when a tire blows out or when an unexpected medical bill arrives. I have a cushion. I have an engine. And most importantly, I have a roadmap. If you know someone who's currently drowning in minimum payments and feels like they'll never get out, send this to them. They need to know that there is a way out that doesn't involve winning the lottery or getting a massive promotion. It involves boring, repeatable, disciplined action. We haven't even touched on how I used the tax deductions from my side hustles to fund these contributions in the later years, which was a game changer for my cash flow. If you want to see the specific, ugly, step-by-step breakdown of how I handled the taxes on my freelance income to make this happen without going broke, I'm planning to cover that in my next video, how to hack your 1099 taxes to fund your freedom. Stay tuned for that. You've got this. Take it 1 month at a time, one contribution at a time. The math is on your side if you just give it enough time to work. As I reflect on those 10 years, I realized that the real challenge wasn't the debt itself, but the mental hurdle of believing I could actually escape it. I was stuck in a mindset that said, I'll start saving for retirement when I'm debt-free. But the truth is, that day may never come. Life has a way of throwing new expenses and challenges our way, and if we wait for the perfect moment to start building wealth, we'll be waiting forever. By investing in my Roth IRA, I was essentially creating a parallel financial universe, one where my money was growing, even as my debt was slowly being paid off. It's a mindset shift that requires patience, discipline, and a willingness to challenge conventional wisdom. One of the most significant advantages of this approach is the power of tax-deferred growth. By contributing to a Roth IRA, I was able to reduce my taxable income, which in turn lowered my tax liability. This meant I had more money in my pocket each month to allocate towards my debt or other expenses. It's a subtle but powerful effect that can add up to thousands of dollars over time. For example, if I had been in a 24% tax bracket and contributed $6,000 to my Roth IRA, I would have saved around $1,440 in taxes that year. That's $1,440 that I could have used to pay down my debt or invest in other assets. Another key takeaway from my experience is the importance of diversification. By investing in a mix of low-cost index funds, I was able to spread my risk and increase my potential for long-term growth. This approach may not be glamorous, but it's proven to be highly effective over time. In fact, a study by Vanguard found that a diversified portfolio of index funds can outperform a portfolio of individual stocks around 80% of the time. That's a compelling argument for keeping things simple and avoiding the temptation to try to time the market or pick individual winners. It's also worth noting that the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. I was lucky to have started in my early 20s, but even if you're starting later in life, the principles remain the same. The key is to be consistent and patient, and to trust in the power of compounding to work its magic over time. For instance, if you start investing $500 per month at age 30, and earn an average annual return of 7%, you could have over $1 million by the time you retire at age 65. That's the kind of wealth-building potential that can change your life. As I look back on my journey, I'm reminded that building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a series of small, incremental decisions that add up over time. It's about being mindful of your spending, taking advantage of tax-advantaged accounts, and investing in a way that aligns with your values and